Fall 1999. The leaves are turning, the air is crisp, and the baseball season is reaching its dramatic climax. The New York Mets are fighting tooth and nail for a coveted World Series berth, fueled by the energy of their fans and the burning desire to bring a championship back to Queens. But Bobby Bonilla, once a celebrated star, a cornerstone of the team, is now a struggling veteran, his skills seemingly diminished by time and circumstance. His performance has dipped noticeably, a shadow of its former brilliance, leaving many to question his place on the roster. And tensions with the team management and the increasingly impatient fans are running high, creating a palpable sense of unease around Bonilla. The cheers have turned to jeers, the admiration to frustration. The defining and perhaps damning moment comes in Game 6 of the NLCS, a pivotal game with everything on the line. Bonilla isn't on the field, ready to contribute, nor is he even in the dugout, supporting his teammates. His absence is conspicuous and raises eyebrows. He's in the clubhouse, away from the intensity of the game, reportedly engaged in a casual card game, seemingly detached from the unfolding drama. As the Mets' season hangs precariously in the balance, each pitch carrying the weight of their championship aspirations. This controversial incident effectively cements his unceremonious exit from the Mets, marking the end of an era. The team, eager to rebuild and move forward, makes the difficult decision to part ways with the aging slugger. But there's a significant problem looming on the horizon, a financial hurdle that needs to be addressed. They still owe Bonilla a substantial $5.9 million for the upcoming season, a considerable sum that weighs heavily on their budget. The Mets desperately want to free up that valuable money to pursue fresh talent, to attract promising free agents who can bolster their roster and reignite their championship hopes. But they can't simply walk away from the legally binding contract, a document that guarantees Bonilla his due compensation. This complex situation sets the stage for a highly unusual financial arrangement, a deal that will ultimately become the stuff of legend, a cautionary tale whispered throughout the baseball world. Bonilla finishes out his professional career playing for other teams, his skills continuing to decline as he bounces around the league. But his financial ties to the New York Mets are just beginning to take root, a long-term commitment that will extend far beyond his playing days. The fateful decision made during that cold winter will forever keep his name, and more importantly his bank account, inextricably linked to the New York Mets for decades to come, a constant reminder of a deal gone awry. Long after his last swing of the bat, long after he's hung up his cleats for good, Bonilla's unique story with the Mets is far from over. In fact, it's just entering its most talked-about phase. The deferred payment deal they strike will echo loudly through the annals of baseball history, a testament to both financial ingenuity and potential folly. And every July 1st, like clockwork, baseball fans across the nation will be humorously reminded of how this bizarre saga all began, forever etching Bobby Bonilla's name into baseball lore. Every July 1st, a date etched in baseball infamy, the New York Mets, despite their current financial standing, dutifully pay Bobby Bonilla over $1.19 million, a hefty sum indeed. And the kicker? This is for a player who hasn't donned their uniform, stepped onto the field, or suited up for them in decades. He's long since retired. This annual payment, a recurring event on the Mets' financial calendar, runs from 2011 all the way to 2035, a quarter of a century after the deal was struck. By the time the final check is cut, the total payout will reach nearly $30 million. That's a staggering amount of money. All this for a season Bonilla never played, a contribution he never made on the field. Why does this happen? It's all rooted in a deferred payment plan, a financial strategy that backfired spectacularly. Back in 2000, at the dawn of the new millennium, the Mets owed Bonilla $5.9 million. However, they desperately wanted to free up that money, to have the financial flexibility to sign new, promising players. So they approached Bonilla and offered him a deal, a proposition that seemed advantageous at the time. The terms were simple. Wait 11 years, defer the payment, and then get paid every year for the next 25 years, with a hefty interest rate tacked on. For Bonilla, it was a golden parachute, a guaranteed income stream that would extend deep into his retirement years, providing financial security. For the Mets, it seemingly freed up crucial cash, allowing them to chase that elusive championship title. They promptly used those savings to sign star pitcher Mike Hampton, bolstering their roster. This move was intended to fuel their World Series run, and indeed, they made it to the Fall Classic that year. At the time, The Mets executives genuinely believed they were making a smart trade, a savvy financial maneuver. They were prioritizing future payments in exchange for present financial flexibility, a common strategy in the world of sports. However, this seemingly ingenious move would ultimately become one of the most talked about and relentlessly mocked financial decisions in the history of sports, a constant source of amusement and bewilderment. What seemed clever and forward-thinking at the time has since morphed into a running joke, a cautionary tale for all sports franchises, and a meme that refuses to die. And so, BobbyBonillaDay was born, an annual reminder of a deal that continues to baffle and amuse. Behind Bonilla's deal was agent Dennis Gilbert, a name that would become synonymous with innovative contract negotiations. He wasn't your typical sports agent. Gilbert was a former insurance and financial planner, bringing a unique perspective to the world of professional sports. Gilbert didn't just negotiate for the next season, he looked at the bigger picture, understanding that an athlete's career, while lucrative, is finite. He planned for his clients' entire lives, crafting strategies that would ensure their financial well-being long after they hung up their cleats or jerseys. When the Mets wanted a buyout of Bonilla's contract, Gilbert saw an opportunity where others might have seen a setback. Gilbert saw leverage, a chance to turn a potentially negative situation into a long-term benefit for his client. He proposed a deferred payment with a fixed interest rate, a concept that was relatively uncommon in baseball at the time. This wasn't just about getting Bonilla paid, it was about turning a one-year salary into a long-term annuity, a steady stream of income for years to come. Negotiations focused intensely on the interest rate. This was the key to making the deal truly beneficial for Bonilla. Gilbert, with his financial background, wanted to maximize Bonilla's return, ensuring that the deferred payments would significantly outpace the initial salary. They settled on 8%, a seemingly modest number, but one that held the key to unlocking substantial long-term wealth. It was a rate that would make the $5.9 million balloon over time, thanks to the magic of compounding interest. Gilbert understood the power of compounding interest, a financial principle that allows investments to grow exponentially over time. The Mets, perhaps not fully grasping the long-term implications, agreed. This deal became a signature of Gilbert's career, a testament to his innovative thinking and financial acumen. It showcased his commitment to securing financial security for athletes long after retirement, a time when many face financial challenges. He'd done similar deals before, demonstrating a consistent approach to long-term financial planning for his clients. But none as famous as this, the Bonilla deal becoming a cautionary tale and a symbol of financial foresight all at once. For Gilbert, a baseball career is short, often lasting only a few years, but life is long, requiring careful planning and financial management. The Bonilla contract became the ultimate example, a case study in deferred payments and the power of long-term financial strategy. It was a prime example of planning for the future, not just the next game or the next season, but for decades to come. It was a masterstroke, a calculated risk that ultimately paid off handsomely for Bonilla, one that would pay off for decades, a constant reminder of the importance of financial planning in the world of professional sports. And it all started with a creative agent, someone willing to think outside the box and challenge conventional wisdom. An agent who thought beyond the game, focusing on the long-term financial well-being of his clients, securing their futures one innovative deal at a time. Why did the Mets agree to such a generous deal? Enter Bernie Madoff. Mets owners Fred Wilpon and Saul Katz were heavily invested with Madoff, who promised, and appeared to deliver, steady, high returns. They believed they could invest Bonilla's deferred money with Madoff, earn more than 8% annually, and come out ahead. To them, deferring Bonilla's salary was a financial win. But Madoff's empire was a massive Ponzi scheme. When it collapsed in 2008, the Mets lost billions. Suddenly, the guaranteed returns vanished, but the obligation to pay Bonilla remained. What once seemed like a clever arbitrage became a costly burden. The Mets were left paying 8% interest on money they no longer had. The Bonilla deal, once a symbol of financial savvy, became a reminder of how quickly fortunes can change. The Mets' gamble had backfired spectacularly. Let's break down the numbers. Bonilla was owed $5.9 million for 2000, but agreed to defer it for 11 years at 8% interest. That money compounded annually, growing far beyond the original sum. By 2011, the total owed had ballooned to nearly $30 million. Instead of a lump sum, The Mets would pay Bonilla in 25 equal annual installments. Each July 1st, he receives $1,193,248.20, a figure now famous in sports circles. For Bonilla, it's a guaranteed payday into his 70s. For the Mets, it's a yearly reminder of a deal gone sideways. What started as a cash flow solution became a long-term financial headache. The Bonilla contract is now a textbook case in the risks of deferred payments. Bonilla's contract is legendary, but he's not alone. The Mets still pay Brett Saberhagen $250,000 a year until 2029, another deferred deal. Ken Griffey Jr. gets $3.59 million annually from the Reds through 2024, thanks to a similar arrangement. Manny Ramirez receives nearly $2 million a year from the Red Sox until 2026. Deferred contracts are common, helping teams manage payroll and players secure future income. But Bonilla's deal stands out for its size, interest rate, and the drama surrounding it. The Madoff connection, the 8% interest, and the fact Bonilla was paid for a season he never played make it unique. Other deals may be bigger, but none have captured the public's imagination like Bonilla's. Every July 1st, his payday is celebrated and ridiculed across the sports world. It's the ultimate example of a quirky, unforgettable contract. Fast forward to 2023, Shohei Ohtani signs a record $700 million deal with the Dodgers. The twist? $680 million is deferred. Ohtani will earn just $2 million a year while playing, giving the Dodgers huge payroll flexibility. The deferred money will be paid out over a decade after his contract ends $68 million a year, with no interest. Ohtani himself proposed this structure, prioritizing team building over immediate cash. Unlike Bonilla's deal, this isn't about maximizing interest, it's about winning. Ohtani's contract redefines deferred payments as a strategic tool, not just a financial trick. The motivations are different. Bonilla's was about money, Ohtani's about championships. Deferred contracts have evolved from quirky accounting to a weapon in the arms race for talent. The legacy of Bonilla's deal lives on, but the game has changed. Deferred contracts didn't start with Bonilla. In the 1960s, accountant Mark Dolgoff created the Dolgoff Plan to help athletes avoid sky-high tax rates. Players deferred salary to receive it later, when their tax bracket was lower. The money grew in investments, providing security after retirement. Roy Campanella was one of the first to benefit, ensuring financial stability after his career-ending accident. The Dolgoff Plan became a blueprint for future deals. Over time, motivations shifted, from tax avoidance to payroll management to team building. But the core idea remains: structure payments to benefit both player and team long after the final game. Every deferred contract today owes a debt to Dolgoff's innovation. BobbyBonillaDay is more than a quirky footnote. It's a sports phenomenon. Every July 1st, fans celebrate, joke, and marvel at the power of compound interest. The deal is a lesson in financial planning, and a warning about risky assumptions. For the Mets, it's a symbol of past mismanagement and the shadow of the Madoff scandal. For rival fans, it's an endless punchline. But the narrative is shifting thanks to Ohtani's player-driven deferral. Deferred contracts are now seen as strategic, not just desperate. Bonilla's legacy is enduring, a story of sports, finance, and the unpredictability of the future. The Mets may count down to 2035, but the legend of BobbyBonillaDay will outlast the final check. It's a chapter in baseball history that will be retold for generations.